Hello, you are listening to the Wellness Project with Des. I'm your host, Desiree, a mental health therapist and holistic wellness coach. On my podcast, I interview experts in the field of mental health and wellness, as well as those who share their firsthand accounts of their mental health journeys. These interviews will give you many tips, tools, and strategies to improve your mental health, as well as give you hope, support, encouragement, and inspiration on your own personal mental health and wellness journey. Thanks so much for being here. I would greatly appreciate it if you took a moment to leave me a review on iTunes and leave the podcast 5 stars on Spotify. It really helps the podcast to grow, which in turn helps me to keep bringing on amazing guests and spreading mental health and wellness education and support. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards holistic well-being, unlocking the full potential of your mind, body, and spirit? If so, I'm thrilled to invite you to my program, the Holistic Wellness Transformation Coaching Program. My one-to-one coaching program is a comprehensive and individualized approach to help you improve your overall well-being. As a holistic wellness coach, I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey to attain balance and harmony in all areas of your life. With personalized coaching sessions, I'll offer guidance and support throughout your wellness journey. Starting with a thorough holistic assessment. We'll dive into your past, habits, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and patterns that may be holding you back and no longer serving you. This assessment forms the foundation for your customized wellness plan. Together, we'll explore the 8 foundational elements of wellness to ensure you feel balanced and aligned with your goals and your values. This program goes beyond the surface, providing you with mental and emotional support. I will help you to manage stress, anxiety, and other challenges such as perfectionism and people-pleasing, offering techniques and strategies to enhance your resilience and your skills. The benefits of this program cannot be overstated. I'll be there every step of the way to support you in achieving balance and harmony in your life, manage stress, and improve your emotional well-being. Nurture healthy connections, create lasting, healthy habits, achieve your goals, and gain confidence in your ability to transform your life. Join me on this journey to holistic wellness. You could go to my website to check out my various packages, and you could go to my Calendly link found in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute consultation call where we will go over the 8 core areas of wellness, as well as your goals and your dream life. Reach out and let's get started on your wellness journey so you can finally live the life you want. Hey there, I hope you've been having a great week. I'm your host Des, and you are listening to episode number 164. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Theresa Lynch. Theresa is speaking with me all about her depression, the symptoms that she experienced, as well as the different things that she tried to cope with her depression, to manage the symptoms, things that helped, things that didn't help. This is a really great conversation because something that Theresa also talks about is that she knew that something was off, she knew that something wasn't right, but she had no idea that what she was experiencing was depression. I think this is important to talk about because I think that's actually a really common experience. I think people feel off. I think they're struggling with some things in their life, but they don't always really know that what they're experiencing is depression. So I thought that was a great point that Theresa brings up. She also talks about neuro-linguistic programming. Now, I've never heard of this before, so I'm glad that Theresa came on to explain what it is and how it helped her with her depression. And another piece of it is that Theresa actually did go through training to become a practitioner herself. And just that feeling of helping others was something that really helped her as well, which is something I always talk about on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to you hearing this conversation. I do want to let you know ahead of time we did have some sound issues. I'm not really sure why, both on my end and Theresa's end, it sounds a little off. You can still hear us, but it just doesn't sound as great of quality as I strive for. So I do apologize for the sound issues, but it's still a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Help me welcome Theresa. All right, everyone. I am joined here by Theresa Lynch. Theresa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So, to get us started, I would love if you could introduce yourself, tell us who you are, how you got to where you are today, and share your mental health journey with us.
My mental health journey probably started back in childhood when I've started to look at things. My dad left when I was 5, and the man that came into my mum's life afterwards was an alcoholic. He was abusive emotionally, not physically to me and my sister, but to my mum. And that lasted until just before I was 21. I didn't always think that it affected me until I was actually in a relationship, and it actually ended up breaking up my relationship. I ended up with depression and suicidal. So that was a really big chunk of not being able to cope with how I dealt with things in my life. It was a really hard time for me, and it took a long time to get over being depressed and the breakup of my engagement. We called the wedding off 6 weeks beforehand. And I still struggle sometimes with it, but nowhere near as much as what I did back in 2004 when I was diagnosed with depression.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. So, how far back do you remember experiencing depression? I know you said that you were diagnosed officially in 2004, but how long did the symptoms go back for?
I don't remember the symptoms going back much further than the 2004. Like that was really a catalyst for me in 2004. I think it had a lot to do with I live in Australia, and I moved to Queensland to be with my partner because he was in the Air Force and he was based up in Queensland. And I'm really close to my family, and I think it was the birth of like coming up to the birth of my niece when like I wasn't going to be around, and I think that really just set me on a really big spiral down. Things weren't working. The way I saw my life wasn't the way that it was going. And I just think that was the catalyst that really just put me down into a really deep depression. And being suicidal, that was, I think, really scared me more so as well. As that is like, well, if I drive the car at this speed and hit this rock wall, what will actually happen? And will I actually kill myself? It was a really not a nice time for myself, but I think that was really the catalyst that set me spiraling down pretty quick.
Okay, that is really scary. And obviously, outside of that suicidal ideation and those suicidal thoughts, what were some of the other symptoms of depression that you were experiencing?
Not being able to get out of bed, just to even to get out of bed, to do anything was a struggle. I just did not want to get out of bed. Eating was pretty much non-existent. I basically just wanted to hide. Basically, I think my bed became like a cave. Like I could just bury my head under the covers and not have to deal with anything.
And obviously, you and your fiance did break up, but did your depression impact any of the other relationships in your life as well?
That was the biggest one that caused the breakup of our relationship. I did actually end up moving back not long after I was diagnosed back to my family, which was probably a saving grace for me as well. But I didn't tell my family that I was depressed and that I was suicidal.
Oh, okay. So they had no idea.
No, they had no idea.
Okay. And did you intentionally hide this from them?
No, I didn't intentionally hide it from them. I just thought they were so far away that they couldn't do anything. And with my sister about to give birth to my niece, she's not in a place to do anything. Not when she's sort of like 9 months pregnant. So like it wasn't. My mum and my stepfather were excited to become grandparents. So like it wasn't a time that I felt like I could put it on them.
Okay. So inadvertently, just moving back towards your family, were you receiving support from them that was helping with your depressive symptoms?
Oh, absolutely. Once I got back and they realized actually how bad it was, they understood. They were really supportive for me at the time. Like I've got the best family. Like people sort of like realize like we have family dinners usually about once a week and we get together as often as we can and people go, you get along with your family. Like they're really surprised of actually how close we all are. No, I'm really lucky to have such a supportive family.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, that's really special. And what kind of things do you think helped you and helped support you in your depression, even though they weren't aware? What were kind of the things that helped you during that time?
Being able to talk to them, giving me the space when I needed the space. Spending time with my niece. My niece was probably 3 months old when I moved back. So it's just being able to be around like the innocence of her that helped get out of that mindset a little bit. And being on medication did have a big impact as well.
Okay. And what other areas? I know you said that you had a really difficult time getting out of bed. What kind of other areas of your life was the depression impacting your life? Were you working at that time? Was it impacting your job?
I wasn't able to work at that time. I couldn't physically work at that time. It was beyond my capabilities. With my partner being in the Air Force, he had 2 young children. So I was actually attempting to look after them. One time he was away on deployment. That was the hardest thing I ever had to go through because I'm having to look after 2 small boys. And it was like, how the heck do I do this? And attempting to function. So, no, I was not working at the time and yet trying to look after his 2 boys while he was away. So they got fed. And when they were at school, like I was in bed, I picked them up, we'd do some things. But I tell you, when they went to bed for the night, I was in bed. I spent more time in bed than it's one of the longest times I spent in bed was when before I was diagnosed with depression. It was easier once I was on the medication. But before I was diagnosed, I was barely functioning.
Okay. And was this also impacting, obviously, your sleep, but was this also impacting kind of, you said your eating habits? Was this also impacting like hygiene and things like that and cleaning the home and being able to take care of the kids?
Cleaning, sort of like clothes got washed, dishes got done as much as I could do. Some things that some tasks that might normally would take 10 minutes might take me an hour or two to get done. Sometimes it just got too hard to do. So it was a matter of just doing the best that I could with where I was at the time.
Okay. And at what point did you realize that you needed help? And were you suspecting that you were experiencing depression? How did that look?
I didn't know what was going on at the time. What ended up happening was an incident happened and my partner ended up being called back from deployment. We actually ended up going to talk to one of the counselors through the Air Force, and then I went to the doctor. I'm going, look, I don't know what's going on. And that's when they actually diagnosed me with depression because I didn't have a clue what was going on. I just knew something wasn't right, and I just did not know what to do or even where to go to get help.
Okay. So once you went to the doctor and they diagnosed you, what did that kind of treatment plan look like? You mentioned that you're on medication.
That was about it to start with. I was fortunate in some respects, is that the first lot of medication I was put on, I didn't have reactions to, and it actually made a difference. And then after that, I started to talk to a counsellor just to attempt to work out what was going on and how to work my way through it.
Did you find counseling to be helpful for you?
Not at all. It was the one thing that I didn't like talking about what was going on because I was still trying to get my head around what was going on. I felt like I was just rehashing the same sort of thing all the time, and it wasn't for me. I just did not enjoy it at all.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you bring this up because, counseling therapy can be really helpful for some people and it can really not be helpful for some people. And then again, there's different types of therapy, there's different modalities, there's different techniques that may, again, help some people and not others. So, when going through this kind of depression, what did you find to be helpful for you?
Through the time, I was actually talking to a friend who I'd met when I moved back to closer to my family. They had recently done NLP practitioner training, so neuro linguistic programming, and they were talking about it. And they go, "Look, I think I can help you like with some of the things, like just to see if it would work." So we're looking at doing that, and at the same time, my mum, she was working for somebody who knew somebody who was actually a trainer of NLP. So it all sort of like came to sort of like a head, a collision that the person who I was talking to actually did the training with the person who this other person that my mum knew was running a what they call an intro night. So to learn what NLP, neuro linguistic programming, is about. So mum and I actually went along to it, and I just knew from that I needed to do practitioner training, and that actually started my healing journey.
Oh, okay, interesting. So, because I'm not familiar myself, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners aren't either, can you explain what neuro linguistic programming is?
NLP, so neuro linguistic programming. Neuro is to do with the brain, so the conscious and the unconscious thoughts. Linguistic is language and communication, and the programming is how it all interrelates together. The basis of NLP is like communication. What some people don't realize is that there's another modality when you're training with NLP that you do a lot of timeline therapy. So that's the therapy that helps clear like the emotional issues or blocks. So it's like NLP is communication based, and there are techniques in there that will help you heal things to do like with other areas. And then the healing side of things is like timeline therapy. However, a lot of my coaching and things is it's based on the healing techniques, not necessarily the communication techniques, if that makes sense. There's two different modalities that people were trained in it all at the same time to get certified.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for explaining that. And so when you went to this intro night, what immediately attracted you to NLP?
I felt it in my soul that this is what I had to do. I don't think there was one particular thing that jumped out and said it was just an overall, the concept of it was like, I just felt called that I had to do it. And I just knew that I needed to trust in the universe that this is the where I needed to go.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that and explaining that. So can you also explain what does a typical NLP session look like?
There isn't as such a typical session. A lot of it is that you do at the beginning, you do a detailed personal history, and that's you find out where people are struggling, what they want help with. The process is the same, but how it might work is different for everybody. So, say somebody who, and I'll use myself as an example in this one, like I've had a fear of success and a fear of failure, and that's what they call a part. I do what's called a part integration to help with that. However, there also might be other parts of that you might need to do some clearing as to why you're feeling that fear of failure or that fear of success. So it might be one thing might work, but other things you might need to dig deeper in to get to what they call the root cause of it is to be able to heal what's causing it.
Okay, interesting. And how quickly did you see an improvement from NLP with your own depression and suicidal ideation?
Very quickly. And I know people go, you cannot come off your medication without like doctor's approvals and all of these. They have a demonstration model. So I was actually the demonstration model for clearing anger, which is what depression comes under anger. So what I actually learned was that when I cleared my anger, I was off my antidepressant medication within 3 days because it was making me violently ill taking my medication. So I found that by clearing that through training, that it actually totally changed my life very, very quickly.
And can you speak to the ways that you feel NLP has changed your life?
Oh, NLP has totally changed my life. I wouldn't be where I am now as a coach, helping other people without going through it. Coaching is not my background. My background is early childhood, and I was in that industry for over 25 years. I can only say that I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't have found NLP. Like, I am that sure that I would not be here if I hadn't have done all the healings and all the clearings and all the personal development I've done that started with that first training in NLP.
Okay, well, that's really amazing to hear. I'm so glad that you found something that really worked for you and really helped you. And this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Teresa. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice for someone that may be struggling with depression and they've been trying different things and they can't seem to find what works for them?
All I can do is say, keep trying. There'll be something out there that will resonate with you. I know that it's not an easy time. And when you find the right thing for you, it will just click. And I trust that things happen for a reason. And to me, I trust that there was a reason that I went through it, that things happen for a reason, and that when you find the right thing to help you through it, even though it is so hard to change things and it can be so hard to take that first step, just take the first step when you understand when you find that one thing that resonates with you.
Okay, great. And Teresa, can you share where everyone can find you?
My business is Dragonfly Dream Coaching. I have a website which is dragonflydreamcoaching.com.au. You can find me on Facebook at Dragonfly Dream Coaching or at Theresa Lynch. And I also am on Instagram, and I hope shortly to have my YouTube channel up as well.
All right, great. And everyone, I am going to put all of Teresa's links in the show notes, so definitely go check her out. Teresa, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story with us and educating us about NLP.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really hope that you liked this episode and gained a lot of value from it. If you did like this episode, please share it on social media. You can tag me at The Wellness Project with Des on Instagram and at According to Des on Facebook. If you do enjoy my podcast and gain value from it, I would greatly appreciate your support. You can show your love and support by buying me a coffee. This will help my podcast to grow and in turn will help me to keep bringing on amazing guests. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/The Wellness Project with Des to show your support. All books written by or recommended by my amazing podcast guests are listed on my Amazon storefront. Go to the link in the show notes to check out those books. I would love to extend an invite to you to become a part of my community. You can do this through Facebook, where we will be discussing this episode. I would love for you to share your insights, any aha moments, any thoughts or ideas you would like to contribute. You can contribute in the discussion taking place in my Facebook group, and it's a great place to connect with me because I am in there every day with mental health and wellness content, discussions, reflections, journal prompts. It's a fun and supportive place to be. You can find the group at facebook.com/groups/According to Des, and that link will also be in the show notes. You can also check out more of what I'm doing on my website, accordingtodes.com. You'll find a lot of wellness blogs, written interviews, detailed podcast show notes, and my shop, where you will be able to find workshops, my self-care course, digital downloads, ebooks. There's a lot going on my website, so make sure you check that out at accordingtodes.com. And while you're there, join my email list to stay in the know about what I have going on and available for you. When you sign up, you will get your free ebook, The 5 Stress Reduction Techniques to help you feel more relaxed. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you next week. So until then, I hope you have a calm and peaceful week.